Yeah.
Got my song, got my dance. Oh,
What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of Unscripted. I am here with the legendary Bill Apter. And ladies and gentlemen, he is the most handsomest Texan in the universe, ladies and gentlemen. He is none other than Sam Houston, man. How you're North Carolinian, right?
Well, no, actually, I'm a Floridian, but I live in North Carolina right now.
Okay. So you're a resident North Carolinian, right?
Yeah, I'm a resident in North Carolina.
Dr. Chris was a Crackleberrian.
A what?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
It's my favorite place to eat brunch is Cracker Barrel. Yes, absolutely.
What's your favorite dish there?
Pancakes, crispy edges with apples, fried apples, and whipped cream on it with syrup. And
at Cracker Barrel, man, you need to be going for the rainbow trout, dude. You need to be
rainbow trout.
No, the country fried steak.
Nah, but the rainbow trout is better for you.
Okay. Bill, next time we hang out, man, we got to do Cracker Barrel. I love.
Now listen, before we get into the crux of our conversation, Sam, show the belt.
Okay.
There's a story behind this. We got to tell you, Dr. Chris.
I was awarded this in Las Vegas, Nevada.
It's cardboard. It's a cardboard belt.
But this means more to me than a lot of my other ones I've got.
Well, I want to tell them a quick story, and then you take the second part of the story, okay? In Las Vegas, I was doing my one-man show at the Cauliflower Alley Club many years back. I invited anyone up onto the stage that thinks they could break out of my 6-second figure 4 leg lock.
Okay.
He raises his hand. I said, no, it's not a wrestler. No, come on. And all the fans are going, yes. So he came up. I put him in my
I'm not a wrestler. I just play one on TV.
He just played one on TV. And as a gift, a prize for doing it, I gave him the cardboard belt. I figured, I got it in one of these party fair stores, like 6 belts for $1. So now he takes the belt and he's walking around the hotel and casino with it for 2 days.
Nice.
Take it. Tell him the rest of the story.
Well, this belt, this was something special for me. Not everybody gets a Bill Apter title. And then when I lost everything in the floods in 2016 in New Orleans, down in South Louisiana, I was sitting up in North Texas on Christmas morning, and all I had was my wrestling boots, a pack of cigarettes, this belt, and my computer, and I was happy.
He rescued that belt from the flood.
Yeah. And I've kept this with me. I guess there's something in you that, you just gotta, as long as you got hope, you're going to keep going, and this finding this and being able to rebuild and come back better and stronger, and I got to keep this too, so I hang it with all the other replicas of the titles that I've won over the years. So, but this is one of my this to me was better than winning a world title.
Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to me.
Because it comes from Bad Boy Billy Apter.
From Wonderful Willie, baby. Sam, go ahead, Chris. You were going to say something.
Something else that is much better than winning a title is something that you absolutely kicked out of, and it's better than kicking out of any 2 count of any pro wrestling ring ever. You kicked out of cancer. And so let the listeners know about that amazing kick out and what happened, what caused it. And I mean, as far as just when you start noticing it and what happened and going to the doctor, just take us through that entire journey and especially coming out of it.
My wife is she's in the insurance business, and I guess getting married and everything, she's going to send me to the mechanic that, just like you would a car, going to make sure what works and what don't. And so I've been going and seeing a lot of doctors. Now, me, the type of person I am, I get me a piece of athletic tape and I'll just tape it up and go. And I don't really care about, mess with doctors and stuff. But anyway.
We're guys. We don't.
Yeah. So, Terry Funk, tape up and go.
Unless it's Dr. Quick.
Yeah, she sends me to, for the physical, and they saw something on a chest x-ray. Well, on April 22nd, they went and I did a CAT scan, a CT scan, and they saw a tumor. So they wanted to do a biopsy on it. And I figured if it's a tumor, I kind of got an idea what it is, but nobody wants to say for sure, so they want to do the tumor. And the tumor, actually, that's really bad when they do the biopsy, because the tumor is the body's way of protecting itself. And when you go and open that up, you get what I got, and that was drippings. Well, I got the biopsy done on May the 10th, and they came back, and it came back that it was cancerous. So before we were going to attack it aggressively. So I wanted to schedule to have that the right upper lobe of my lung removed, because we're going to take the whole lobe out and there shouldn't be any problems. Well, before I did this, I just lost my friend, my tag team partner, my brother, Charlie Thunderblood Norris, the year before. And I'd gone up for his the services and stuff, and took my place in his family. I've been a member of their tribe for over 30 years, but I never had my spiritual name, and I wanted to get
what
that.
Tribe was that, Sam? What tribe was that?
He was Chippewa. He was from the Chippewa Nation, the Great Red Lake Nation. I want to give a special hello to all my brothers and sisters up there. But they wanted me to come and get my spiritual name. So in May the 17th, I made a trip to Wisconsin. Kim and I drove to Wisconsin, and we took our tobacco offering up to my friend Jason. He presided over Charlie's funeral. And we brought him the tobacco. He met us in Madison, Wisconsin. I had some teachings out there by the lake of the Anishinaabe ways, which is the Native American culture. And he gave me some teachings on that. And then we went back for the July 4th. They had a big 3-day powwow up in Red Lake, and I wanted to take him to that. My daughter came up with us, and I received my Indian name, my native name. And I won't try to confuse you with trying to say it in that language, in the Anishinaabe ways, but my name means still standing strong. Jason told me, he said, usually you get your name at the beginning of your life. He said, you're getting yours close to the end. He said, wow. For everything the spirits told me about you, he said, you led a heck of a life. And I got my name, and it went around the room, and everybody, everybody gave me their blessing and their prayers. And my daughter and my wife both, oh gosh, the words they said I'll carry in my heart forever. We got back 2 days after we returned back. Um, July the 12th, they removed the lobe. The following week, they called me into the doctor, and they said, "Sir, we hate to tell you this, but you started off with stage 1 lung cancer." He said, the drippings around the heart and around the esophagus. He goes, "Now it's a stage 2B, the beginning of stage 3." He said, we're going to recommend radiation and chemotherapy, and maybe we might be able to get this cancer pill later on. And I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting. I've got to make these big, hard, heavy decisions. And I've got, right now where I'm at in my life. I mean, I just love where I'm at. I'm so blessed. And I was like really hurt that I've gone through all this stuff, and now that I'm getting taken away from the blessing that where I'm at. So it's kind of like you're looking at a piece of paper, choosing the way you're going to die. Am I going to like go out with a bang? Am I going to do it my way? What am I going to do? Well, I knew I wasn't going to just sit back and take it laying down. But I called Jason up, and he goes, "I've got a little boy in a water drum healing ceremony that we can do." And so we scheduled him to come down, and we brought him down. It was, I'd been in radiation, and the radiation was killing me. I mean, I was dead. I'd been in radiation for 3 weeks. And he and Aaron flew down, and we went to, we've got a cabin outside of Boone in Sugar Grove. We went up there, and they performed. We did the ceremony, and what a beautiful ceremony it was. And then Jason and I and Aaron went up, and we did the doctoring, and they left Kim downstairs. We all participated in the ceremony. Kim went downstairs and prayed, and Jason did an eagle bones healing ceremony with the water drum, and it actually pulled the poison away from my body, out of my body.
Really?
So and I was sitting there that day, and I was like, "Oh, I don't feel too much different," And so the next morning, I went downstairs. We had a staircase that goes all the way down to the creek, and my side was burning, and that was the radiation. And I was still dead tired and just dragging. But I walked down to the creek, and I smoked a cigarette, and I talked with Charlie, my tag team partner. I talked with him down there at the creek. We talked a lot, and he told me, I heard his voice. He said, "Wash yourself, wash what hurt, wash what burns in the creek." So I put a couple of handfuls of water on my side, walking back up to the basement level of the cabin. It quit burning, and I walked inside, and I told Kim it's not burning like what it was. And then throughout the day, I kept getting more and more energetic. And I'm figuring, well, it's a weekend, and I haven't been in chemotherapy for a day and a half or 2 days. I go back to the doctor, and then they do the imaging. I sit down, lay down for the radiation, and they do it. And then when I get ready to leave, they're all kind of looking at me. Everybody was looking at me. But they didn't say anything. And then a couple of days go by, and then finally the doctor comes in, and he tells Kim and myself, he says, "Sir, we can't find any cancer in your body." He said, "You're a miracle." And the doctor come in, he said, "What did you change?" And I told him all the things in my diet that I changed. I started eating fresh fruit, a lot of fresh fruit, get away from the processed foods and stuff like that. Started eating fresh fruit, go get the meat, and then I prepare it, or Kim prepares it. Don't just get a bag of something and open it up and But anyway, I did that, and then I started doing. I was drinking this Ojibwe tea. It's Easyac. You get it from Zeller, is the company that I get it from, but it's spelled Ezziac. And I would drink this during the day. You mix 2 ounces of that to 4 ounces of distilled water. I squirted lemons and sweetened it with sourwood honey and made myself a tea. I drank that, and uh, and just took turkey tail mushroom and then ESIAC capsules, ESSIAC. And I'm cancer free. I feel great. I'm still really hurting from the surgery, but I was able to.
Your energy is coming out so much when you're telling this story. I can feel your energy.
Oh, Bill, I'm healed.
Yeah.
Jason was a tool that the creator used to heal my body and take that away from me. I'm not done doing what I'm gonna do. I still got stuff to do and get done. And, he ain't keeping me around for nothing. He's keeping me around for something. I got something to say at the right time to somebody, and I hope it's your listeners right now. But I have to give thanks to the Almighty for saving me, and I have to thank the ancestors and the spirits and all those that came before us. Because they're overseeing us, and they're still with us. So I'm just really happy.
With your new, with you back to life now, when you look back at your wrestling days, what do you think about? What was the good and what was the stuff you wish didn't happen?
Well, I gotta, oh gosh. I grew up in the business. So a lot of the bad stuff with me happened before I got in, I mean, there weren't any, I was a teenager growing up. There weren't any rules for me. I'm driving Andre around, the junkyard dog around, I was doing everything. I was a ring crew. I lived in 21 places before I started first grade, that because that was the territory days and stuff. I wished I wished alcohol had never taken control of my life the way it did. It cost me time in prison. It cost me relationship. It cost me everything. I mean, one day you're this TV star. You've got everything. You're on top of the world. You're making good money, and then that bottle gets a hold of you, and gosh, it takes you all the way down. I had to start back over from a maximum security disciplinary camp where all I had was a Foot Locker, 2 pairs of state underwear, and a bar soap.
Wow.
Yeah. Sam, do you recall at all the time where you were like, yeah, I got so much on my mind. There's so much going on in my life. I think alcohol is a way to escape from this. Do you remember what it was in particular?
Yeah, it was. Here's the bad part about alcohol. It's your friend. It's there to take care of the pain. Whatever pain you're suffering, whether it be physical, whether it be mental, whatever the pain it is, the alcohol, you can drink enough and you'll just forget about it.
Yeah, escape.
It will. Yeah. Gosh, we were all when I was young, Dusty and Flair. We all ran together, Magnum, and Dusty would always say, if you're going to run with the big dogs, you got to get off the porch. So I'm out there trying to cement my place by being able to drink everybody under the table because that was what they were doing or supposedly doing. It wasn't until one time I grabbed one of Flair's kamikazes and threw it back that he was drinking club soda. And the waitress told me, we have to do his drinks or club soda. And boy, for a long time, I was mad about that. But then later on in life, I was like, wow, that was ingenious, because here, you're the world champion, and everybody in that joint wants to take a shot at you, knock you off your high horse, knock you off the mountain. So if you're a drunken idiot, you can't handle yourself. But if people think you're drunk and you're stone cold sober, yeah, you can handle your business.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Sam, another question I have regarding that is that, you're talking about 80s, NWA territory, pro wrestling territory, which was very it was very competitive when it came to a lot of drinking and just one-upping each other. You're still competing in independent shows. You've seen atmospheres of generations changing. How is the atmosphere backstage better now than it was in the NWA and the territory days back in the 80s?
Well, I don't know that I would call it better, because
There's still a lot of drinking backstage.
Oh, well, no, I mean, there wasn't really drinking backstage before the
Right,
show.
it was afterwards.
It was afterwards all the drinking happened.
Yeah.
What I see at the shows nowadays is everybody huddling up and getting in their own little groups and stuff. And, that's not the way it is. When I go to an event like that, the first thing I do is set my bag down and I'll walk to everybody in there, introduce myself, and shake hands with them. Because they don't do that nowadays. There's no camaraderie or anything like that. Therefore, like, why should I have his back? Back then, back in the 80s, we all had each other's back. We were all businessmen. We knew that the business came first, no matter what you've got to do. And there's been riot situations, the one in Atlanta, the Horsemen would have gotten killed, but I gave them my body to where they could beat me up all the way back to the dressing room, and I was able to get them back to the dressing room. But that's when you got to have each other's backs. Right now, the stuff I see nowadays, I don't really see that in anybody. I just see a whole lot of bickering and squabbling back and forth, and people pointing fingers. He said, she said.
So it was more fraternal back then.
Back then than it is now. Yeah.
I was there with you quite a bit, and I know when you were talking about the camaraderie there, especially in the Crockett territory, it was amazing. Everybody had everybody's back there.
You had to, you had to.
Family.
Huh?
It was family.
Oh yeah, and we were. When one of and I felt so bad when I won the Mid-Atlantic title. Crusher Khrushchev, Barry Darsow, blew his knee out in that match, and I believe he was out for about 9 months. But, we didn't have insurance to take care of us, but all the boys got together and we chipped in, and we all had money taken out of our check. And then Crockett matched what we raised. And then Barry, he had just had Dakota, his son. He was able to feed his family. We didn't have perks back then as like what boys do now. And then, when Magnum got hurt in the wreck, we did the same thing for him. We took care of our own.
Do you think the guarantee contracts that we see nowadays in WWE is not it's causing people to be more kind of individualistic and less of a group and working together?
Oh, probably. I mean, you got a guaranteed deal. I'm going to do whatever that man tells me to do. So to heck with you and your thing. This is me and my thing. I'm happy for the guys making all the big money that they're making now. I mean, I wish we'd have seen some of that, but I'm not going to complain. I got paid $22,500 for 10 minutes worth of work, or 12 minutes worth of work at the Great American Bash.
Wow.
And I pinned superstar Billy Graham in the middle of the ring. Now I got my butt whipped by the Barbarian Abdullah the Butcher, superstar Billy Graham, for about 10 minutes. But it was a couple minutes before it really sunk in what had just happened. I mean, 30,000 people were screaming my name at the top of their lungs.
I remember. I remember.
Yeah. So that was a grand time
Well,
for me.
let me ask you something. With Jim Crockett Promotions, and I was part of that family,
Yes,
so to
sir.
say. He was great to us with the magazines. He gave us a magazine segment on the air, and he was so close to becoming what the WWF was, and
Hmm.
then it crashed.
Yeah.
Why do you what you were around that time? What was the crash? What do you think it crashed?
Oh gosh. Well, uh, for Crockett, you mean
Yeah,
for him
yeah,
to have crashed?
yeah.
I think he started getting tired. He started getting worn out. And then here's guaranteed money from Ted Turner, so he's not walking away empty-handed. Because even after he sold, he came down to Texas and took
Yep,
over the Sportatorium there and brought the NWA back to Texas. And
I
then
remember.
me and John Layfield were tagged. He was Johnny Hawk, but he was my tag team partner in Texas, and we were wrestling Ricky and Robert everywhere. And Ricky and Robert would snatch me, and they say, "If you tag him in the ring, we're killing you."
The reason I'm asking is a lot of people said that he spent too much money too quickly when it was Crockett and Dusty and the whole.
He got talked into buying the Learjet, and
Oh,
he did get talked into. They were making midnight flights to Vegas and stuff. So we can fly out there, gamble, and then be back in town for the next shot.
yep.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It was hot shot. Yeah.
Sam, you were in Mid Atlantic in 1984, right? During Black Saturday?
Yes, sir. I started
Yeah.
in January of '84 there.
Yeah. Yeah. During Black Saturday, I think that was probably 6 months later. I believe it was July of '84. What was the atmosphere with knowing that McMahon is coming and trying to take over the South, basically Southern territories? Did it have did it bleed over to Mid Atlantic territory?
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it would have ever flew because see, the wrestling styles were different. The Southern wrestling fans, they're wanting it to get up and go, tie up and let's see some action. As to where the WWF or whatever it was at that time, what they did was they worked. They would walk around the ring for 3 minutes before they would ever lock up,
Yeah.
and then do one move, and that's not how people in the South are, because people in the South see real fights. They've been in real fights, so they know what.
This is why Jimmy Crockett, while Vince McMahon sold his TBS contract at that time, the Turner contract, to Jim Crockett, because it wasn't getting over on TBS.
Nah.
Yeah. You end up working for Vince for a little while after that.
I started.
You remember who recruited you to get there?
Huh?
You remember who recruited you to work for the WWE? Do you remember?
I just called him up. What had happened was I'd won the Central States title, and Nicola and I had gotten married, and they sent us out to Kansas City. They bought the Kansas City.
Nicola's baby doll, for those who
baby doll, yeah. They sent us out to the Kansas City territory, and I trained Warlord and Big Bubba Rogers at the time. Out there every night, and I was working with Bulldog Bob Brown, Superstar Bill Dundee, Buddy Landell. Anyway, I was the Central States champion, so we were out there, and we house in. We were starving. You drive 400 miles to a town, get there. There's like 9 people in the building, and you find out all the posters that you're supposed to be out and advertise your event are sitting at the concession stand with they want to sell those for $1 to get autographed. Well, if you ain't got nobody in, so then we're faced with, okay, do we work in front of 9 people and get paid? Or do we just go home? Well, you need that money to make it home now. We were starving, but our stuff was getting over. And then we went into Omaha, Warlord and I on top. I believe we did like $63,000. And we hadn't seen a house in a month of Sundays out there. And we did $63,000. Boy, we were all excited. We got back to Kansas City. I called the office the next morning. I said, "Hey, Dusty, we did 63 grand last night." I said, "When are we going back?" I said, "That was a shot in the arm that we all needed." He goes, "See, baby, that town is not going to be for that office anymore. That looked like a viable thing. So the Charlotte office is going to pick up Omaha." And I was like, wow. And then I got the payoff for it, and it was $75. And I got $75 on top for drawing $63,000.
On a $63,000 house, you got $75
more than he made the week before.
Yeah. So I called the office up. I said, "I think there's been a mistake." And then Crockett told me, he said, "No, there hadn't been a mistake. We've been losing money out there." I said, "Well, you've got my 2-week notice right now." And I hung up the phone, and then they called back and they said, "Does that go for Doll too?" And I said, "Well, hang on, let me give you the phone." And she quit too. And I called up Watts, and Watts put me to work. I mean, he was glad to have me. They wanted me years before, but I wouldn't go home and work for my dad's company until I was a main eventer in other places, because I didn't want people thinking that I got the position. I wanted people to know I earned. And anyway, so I went to work for Watts, and then me and Eddie Gilbert went to Kansas City, which we never drew more than $3,500 on a Friday night in Kansas City. That I told them it was that building and everything else. I go in there and work with Eddie Gilbert on top in Kansas City. I think we did $155,000, in the big arena there. So I worked for Watts. Then Crockett came in and bought Watts out, and then they said nobody's losing their job except you. And
right.
I picked up the phone. I was over for Watts's TV, for Crockett's TV, and everything else. I picked up the phone and called the New York office, and they gave me a starting date. And I went in there, and I went in there with some high hopes and stuff like that. But you go in there, you get promised the moon, and then kind of somewhere in there, after you've been there a few months, you settle in, and that's
you level off.
Yeah. So my deal was to go out there and do the best I could every night, and get those people. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the office, that they can say, oh, this, that, or the other. But I have the ability. I'm a good enough wrestler and in-ring performer that I can go out there and hook the people, whether I lose every night or not. I don't care. You can beat me every night. But the people are still going to care for me because I do my job and I'm good at my craft.
Yeah. So we got to roll, but I do want to ask you this before we go.
Sure.
So when you went to the WWE, was it common knowledge that you were brothers with Jake Roberts, or were you trying to keep it hush?
No. Okay. That was still kayfabe. Not only people that knew us, from down in Mid-South area knew that we were brothers. There wasn't very many folks at all knew. Andre knew. Because I'd known him since I was 10 years old, but Andre knew. Duggan knew. There were a few people that knew, but for the most part, no, nobody knew.
And what was Grizzly's reputation in the Northeast?
As a road agent, he did what the office told him to do.
Yeah. So you got something before we go?
No, I want to thank you for doing this. And of course, I'll send you the link so you can share it. But we need to do this again. There's more.
Yes, I'd love to. Guys, Chris.
One of the fans put in a box here, he says, when is the book and the movie coming out?
Oh, well, I'm working on the book now. The lady that's helping me, Amy Frigo, she runs my Facebook page, my Sam Houston Facebook page. And she's going to be checking all the grammar. I've got the first 200 pages written, but I'm not going to be able to do mine in 400 pages. It's going to have to be 600 or 700. So get prepared to read, and I'm going to write it the way I talk. So
get some more money, man. Make multiple editions. Get you more money out of it.
There we go.
You know what? You just brought something up. When I first started with the magazines, the publisher, Mr. Weston, would rip up everything I wrote for months. I said, "Why are you doing this?" Because he was rewriting everything. He says, "I can't hear your voice in what you're writing." He says, "I want you to write the way you speak." And that took it to a different level. That was the key.
Just hey, like Bill, did you know that they're announcing me? You wrote an article about me a long time ago. Is the legend that is Sam Houston, and and like 30-something years ago, almost 40 years. It was like when me and Barry Windham were, both coming up and hot. Barry was already up there, and I was coming up. And you wrote an article about because we were the future of the NWA, but you wrote an article, the legend that is Sam Houston. Their ring announcers are announcing me like that now. They tell me what my weight is, and they the legend that is Sam Houston.
No, we got to say it like Gordon Soley, the legend that is Sam Houston. We'll be right back.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, guys. I do.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. This is Sam Houston. Follow him right under his name at Sam Houston Brand on X. Of course, follow Bill Apter at Apter One Wrestling. Follow me at Chris Prolific. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Unscripted. Have a good night, everybody. Bill?
We'll see you at the matches.
So long.
Yeah.